Hey guys, Jack here. Today we're looking at a piece by Bill Laurance, one of my favourite composers, and it's his piece Chia. Really, really lovely piece with a great ostinato and kind of forward momentum. Bill Laurance is in the band Snarky Puppy. He's also got lots of his own projects, particularly the Bill Laurance project, now I think just called Bill Laurance. Very, very, very talented guy. Love his stuff. So this piece is still in a minor space, like the last two that we've done, but it's really kind of exciting. It's got some kind of nice syncopation, so hopefully it's useful to you, this teardown. So we're in B flat minor, okay, and the first chord is voiced like this. We've got B flat minor chord voiced like this, root fifth, root third, okay? And if you just notice my fingering here, it's quite important to get you set up, okay? So this pattern here of moving sixths is the kind of the main theme really of this part of the piece. And actually in essence, it's actually really simple in terms of the melody and stuff like that. The tricky thing is the rhythm, okay? So when I first heard this, it kind of threw me off because I wasn't sure where the one was, and his syncopations were confusing me about where things were. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it in an incredibly simple way with no kind of real accents. It's going to make it sound really horrible, but it'll hopefully help you understand it, okay? And I'll play a metronome as well. Okay, that's the first section. We'll talk about that second bit in a minute. The way that I'm playing it there is very horrible, but it's hopefully helping you understand where the beat is with everything. I would play that version first and then work on listening to the way that he plays it. He plays it way better than I could ever play, obviously, but what he's doing essentially is he's making this note, this F, quieter in a lot of places and some others, to give it a sense of a ghost note. And by making that really quiet, that note is on the one, and that means that we don't really, not on the one, it's on the beat, which makes us feel a little bit sort of like up in the air. It's like we don't know where the actual beat is. So let me play it with a bit more of his accent. Okay, so that probably makes it a little bit clearer. Get your hand around that in terms of the accents, and that'll start to become clearer. So moving on, what we end up doing is then going, right, we move down to a G flat major chord just by adding that in the bass there rather than the B flat there. So we go. And then that note that's in the middle that we're playing with our left hand, the kind of the important accent note or lack of accent note, moves up to G flat, okay? And you saw me struggle there actually because I forgot the fingering, because it's really important to be able to swap to your thumb so that you can then go. Okay, so let me play that through from the beginning. Okay, and then this last bit here, we're playing this kind of third here, G flat and B flat. Okay, and then we resolve to D flat major, okay? So the whole of this first section is based around a B flat minor chord, a G flat major chord, and then a D flat major chord, right? But it's the sixths in the right hand moving around, playing kind of extensions, and then the amazing, interesting syncopated ostinato that basically makes it sound really complex. Okay, and then he's doing this really nice figure, which is, yeah. And then he moves up to a G flat major chord, but interesting voicing down here, he just keeps the D flat in the bass because that's the fifth of that chord. Okay, and then that leads us into the next bit. Okay, so I'm going to play the whole first section, put it all together, and then we'll move into the next section, which is basically a repeat of that one with some variations. We're playing it down an octave, okay? So this is largely the same, but there's a few changes. Okay, that's the first one there, right? We're playing the fourth note up at the top rather than the third. Okay, nice little variation, and then again. Okay, and then we have this F up at the top, which is the third. The major seventh of this chord that we're on, this G flat minor seventh. Major seventh, rather. And then this bit I just got wrong. And then we're back to this figure again, okay? And if you listen to some of his other recordings, particularly a live recording, he does this nice little pentatonic phrase here. So he goes. I really like that. And then we go down to a chord that we haven't heard before, which is an A flat minor chord. Okay, so we're going from a D flat major chord to A flat minor chord in first inversion, because we've got the C flat chord there. Sorry, C flat in the note, A flat, E flat, A flat. Okay, and then that's the end. So let me play the whole of that second section. And that one's just done once, because then we have this really interesting run up into this new section. Okay, so this is kind of basically the B flat minor scale, except we start on a B natural, which is strange. Okay. And he starts on that really to make the, well, I don't know why he starts on that. Makes it sound interesting, right? Makes it a little bit darker at the start of it. And actually what's really important is that you're holding the pedal down through all of this. So you've gone, and then you let it go as soon as you get to that B flat minor chord, right? It's really, really lovely. It gets really muddy and then it sort of surfaces. It's a really nice effect. I've seen a bunch of films where they kind of like do this kind of like something like lots of notes going on, and then they go just an open and everything drops out. And it's usually like, you know, when they fly above the clouds or something like that, something drops and then we're in a new space. And it's a really nice compositional effect. Drop everything out underneath and then leave this kind of floating new thing. Okay, so, and then we've got this new ostinato, okay? So it's a very striking moment in the piece. Pulling out all of this stuff and then bringing in this. And that just goes on and on and on, that rhythm. But the right hand is doing this really intricate, like, feels improvised, but he plays it the same every time. So he's obviously written it, or maybe he improvised it once and then learnt it, who knows. But it feels improvised, which is a really, really great thing to have in a piece. Like music that's fully written and kind of scripted, but feels improvised. So we go. And we're back into that section again. You see how we got there, but down a third octave. So this whole piece starts with up here, then down here, and then it does the middle section, and then it does it down here. This is real sort of building up into this kind of, it's just great. I love it. Okay, so let's break down that whole middle section because there is a lot going on in that. Let's start with the chords. Okay, so this ostinato in the left hand just goes on and on. You don't need to worry about that. But it's the chords that we need to think about, okay? So it's a very downward thing. So all the way to that point, basically the bass note of his left hand is moving down in semitones. It's a really great compositional technique is to make that bass note go down semitones in a chromatic scale, but make the chords work above it. So we start with B flat minor, then we go to a kind of, you could say F augmented chord there, if you were to invert that, be F augmented. You can think of it in other ways, obviously. And then you take that root down again, and you've got a D flat major chord in second inversion. And then here, a couple of ways you can think about this. I think of this like a G full diminished or half diminished seventh, sorry. And then a G flat major seventh is where we end up before we then move down to an E flat minor seventh. Okay, so B flat minor, kind of an F augmented chord, D flat major, G half diminished seventh, G flat major seventh, E flat minor seventh, B flat minor second inversion, F dominant seventh without the fifth. Okay? So let's look at the melody over the top of that. So starting on the ninth, really, really nice, very, very floaty note. Okay, coming back down to the ninth with this really nice, but the rhythm there is quite important to get. So quite hard to do because this ostinato is when you learn new patterns or new ostinatos, getting them really solid in your left hand so that you can like talk to someone else whilst you're doing it or like play a major scale is really important. In fact, if you're struggling playing the right hand over the top of this ostinato, I would say don't start with the transcription, don't start with this piece. Just start by going and then improvise over the top of that. Just get really comfortable with that and then come back to this. So now this is a really interesting one. Sounds like I don't know, a zither player or someone like really banging the same note twice. You've probably seen people going before, and that's kind of what he's doing here. The left hand is already playing an F, but just in the middle of it he plays the F again. So right? It's a really, really cool thing to play with. I would definitely get your head around that a bit. So let's break down that rhythm a bit more. Okay, and then that takes us to the G flat major seventh chord. And that starts out with a major seventh in the left hand, and now I just move down to the normal G flat major because I'm about to move down to here, so it goes okay, so just a way to transition for the fingering. Now this bit I really can't do yet, I'm sorry, I've been trying to practice this before this video, but this is the one bit I can't nail. So he's got this I'm not even sure what division that is, but it's kind of like a rubato thing over the top. So he's going bum 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 in the left hand, and then the right hand goes. I really can't do it, and I don't think he's thinking about it in any type of rhythm. It's just sort of like it's hitting that note. So at the end of that tricky bit, we come back to the top of the chord progression and it gets played again. Right, we're still on that B flat, we're back to that B flat minor chord. The right hand does a brief moment where the rhythm is the same. Okay, now this is a really lovely moment to kind of explain or just highlight one of the things he does well in this whole section, right? At the beginning of it, he goes, that we're waiting for the whole of that time for what the melody is going to do next. Right, and it's just that space is lovely, and he brings it back here, that kind of use of space. Sorry. Okay, and then we're onto that chord, the G flat minor 7th chord, sorry, major 7th chord, and I love this figure here. Lovely melodies. You could do something, you could write a piece with those two melodies. It's really, really fantastic. Sorry, rhythm. Often much harder when you slow these things right down. Back to where we were. So this bit's really lovely. Okay, so let me just go into it. We really don't play anything on the 1 there, so we go 1, 1, 1. Yeah, 1, 1, 1. Yeah, really, really lovely moment there. So let's break down the chords. Bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum, bum. Those ones. This is an E flat minor 7th chord, root 7th, 3rd, 5th, 7th. This is what I think it is, as far as I can hear into the chord. If you think it's something else, then you can let me know, or you could just make it your own, right? Then we go to an F minor 7th chord, right? Root 7th, 3rd, now the 4th, the 5th, and the 7th, so a bit more dense. And then a G, I'm kind of seeing this as a G flat major 7th chord with lots of other notes in it, but you could maybe analyze it in a different way. We've got the root, we've got the major 6th, the 9th, the 3rd, the 5th, and the major 7th. Oops, sorry. And then we get the 5th of the relative major, depending on how you want to think about it, or the 7th note before we move back to B flat minor. 7th chord is the A flat sus4 chord. Sorry, I'm losing my words today. So let's go over those again. E flat minor 7th, F minor 7th, a kind of G major 7th chord with lots of other notes, and then an A flat sus4 chord. Root 4, 5th. Yeah. Back to our figure, our main theme of the piece, but down in that octave. So that sums up pretty much the whole of that section. At the end of that, he goes, it goes into this other middle section, but there's a whole load of improvisation in there, and it's less compositional, way more improvised. So that's where I chose to stop the piece. I hope that's useful to you. There's a lot in there, and there's plenty of things that you probably might not understand if you're a beginner. If you're struggling with any of the concepts that I've mentioned here, or any of the ideas, then you might want to take one of my courses, which is a full introduction to music theory and composition at the piano. You can find that in the description below. And if you have any comments or questions about this piece, feel free to ask me in the comments as well. And also let me know what you want to see in future, what pieces by composers that you love, or maybe I could break down some theory or some concepts for you. Hope this has been useful. I will catch you soon.